So it's hard to come up with one word to describe your favorite child. Oh wait, Jared might be watching this. I meant to say my favorite daughter. So the one word to describe Sadie would be joyful. I'm always so pleased to see the joy that she exudes and brings to those around her. So a memory of Sadie that I wanted to share was from when we were working on the farm. So there's always a lot of fun memories of the farm, whether it's riding horses, riding the four-wheelers. But when she was little, riding in the combine with me, it was always fun. She'd fall asleep on my shoulder, and then watching her grow up. And within the last couple of years, she's been running the combine by herself. And so that's kind of been a fun transition to see, but great memories that I have of Sadie growing up. And then Sadie, a verse that I wanted to share with you, actually a passage of verses from Psalm 139, verses 1 through 12 says, "O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down and when I rise up. You discern my thoughts from afar. You search out my path and my lying down and are acquainted with all my ways. Even before a word is on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it altogether. You hem me in behind and before, and lay your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is high, I cannot attain it. Where shall I go from your spirit, or where shall I flee from your presence? If I ascend to heaven, you are there. If I make my bed in Sheol, you are there. If I take the wings of the morning and dwell in the uttermost parts of the sea, even there your hand shall lead me, and your right hand shall hold me. If I say, surely the darkness shall cover me, and the light about me be night, even the darkness is not dark to you. The night is bright as the day, for darkness is as light with you." So it's a reminder, Sadie, that no matter what challenges you face in life, you always have God with you. He is the light for you, shining to guide you as you are following Him and seeking His will for your life.
Sadie, my word for you that I feel like describes you well is sweet. Sweet Sadie. The memory I have of you is of one of your great qualities is that you are caring and you're a quiet comforter to those around you. Many times I've seen you put a hand out and touch a shoulder or give a squeeze, and that's something that you do well. The other reason why I picked sweet is because you love sweet treats, and that's just the reason why you are sweet. The verse I picked goes along with your word. It's Proverbs 24:14. "In the same way, wisdom is sweet to your soul. If you find it, you will have a bright future, and your hopes will not be cut short." My prayer for you is keep being the sweet person you are and follow Jesus. He is your and will be your faithful guide and to a bright future.
So one word to describe Ray. I would use the word laid back. He's just very laid back and easygoing.
I would say kind, even when he was a small child, just very tender-hearted and even compassionate towards others. So.
One of my favorite memories of Ray is when Zeke was little. I remember Ray going into Zeke's room and climbing into his crib, and they would read books together or lay there. I could hear them through the monitor laughing and having a good time, and just remember him wanting to spend time with Zeke and climbing into his crib and showing that compassion towards him.
Mine probably isn't a good memory. Mine is probably, the thing that sticks out in my head is we had a baseball game one time, and Ray, I think, had 3 or 4 at-bats, and he didn't swing at any strike that went across the whole game. He just stood there and watched them go by. And I remember being so upset with him at the end, and I shouldn't have been that way. But just even the good conversation, and hopefully and actually we used it kind of as even as an example going into school and putting forth effort. That thing that stuck out to me as a negative at the time probably turned into a positive.
When we were asked to do this, the verse that kept coming up in my mind was just the set your mind on things above, not the things on earth, and just kind of to help that Ray will set his focus on the things above and not things here.
Mine's not necessarily a verse, kind of a saying that and you may have heard it before too, but it's that God, He doesn't call the equipped, He equips the called. So even if you feel like you're not ready to go with whatever step that is in your life, God still has you, still has control, He's still going to use you. But really taking out there and having enough faith to follow the good spiritual counsel from others, friends, family. It's a great thing to remember. There's so many people on your side, so many people willing to help, and just to realize that when God is in charge, that everything is going to work out okay, and hopefully you have enough faith and confidence so that there's never any fear when you take that step out.
The word that I would describe Cody is compassionate. He really looks out for the next person and wants to not only better himself, but wants other people to be better, and he pushes them, and just the compassion he shows towards others.
Let's see, Cody, describing you in one word. There's several words, but I would say one, definitely spiritual. I think you've been very good at that all the way through camp. I'd probably also have to put in there energetic, but that I would appreciate a lot about you. Probably the memories I have with Cody is I was able to be his camp counselor for about 6 years, and we had a lot of fun together there in the cabins, and even with the other guys. I mean, along with, I got to even be with Ray and Chance basically the whole time through, and a lot of good time with them guys. And they would, junior camp, they get to go back to the canteen after chapel, and they'd all buy them Quick Start Mountain Dews. And then we go back to the cabin, and then Chance would open up his suitcase and with all snacks. So we were up till midnight being that way, but I would say there was a lot of good times with that. That and training Cody how to drive was interesting. Not as much as training Jenny, but had a good times with him and talking with him and being able to just have one-on-one time. And that we also got to go to a lot of Iowa Cub games together.
I think the memory that I'll have with Cody is being the youngest. Oftentimes, I was always the one that picked him up after school, and that would be the time that I would tell him that I had errands to run or I needed to do some shopping, and so he would have to go with me, whether he wanted to or not. But he was always such a good sport, and those times would always be a good time for us to connect one-on-one and just talk. And we talked about what went on that day, whether it was when he was still being at a sitter or whether he was at school. We talked about his friends. We talked about what he did in Sunday school or youth group or whatever it was for that day. And I just got a lot of insight where his heart was, directions that he was going. And it was just a special time when you have a larger family, and especially when there's teenagers in there, to have that one-on-one time with them. I also discovered he is an awesome shopper. Even when he was little, he would find great deals. He would shop for clothes. I think even Aunt Sandy took him a few times shopping to help her pick out gifts for grandkids and that kind of thing. But even now, he will go with me sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And I will say, we need a gift for this person, and he usually is the one that finds the unique and special gifts.
Spiritually, Cody, I always have liked Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart. Lean not to your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. It's always a good verse to follow, son, that even when things might be getting tough, you can look to the Lord and his word, and to read it, and always come to mom and dad for any direction or advice. Be welcome to give it to you. We just look forward to your next stage of life where you get to move about 2 blocks and go to college. But even then, it's still going to be, I think, wonderful for you, being at faith and experiencing that spiritual life. And so we just look forward to seeing what the Lord has for you next.
The verse I chose for you, Cody, is one that you already have on a plaque in your room. And it is 1 Corinthians 16, 13 through 14. Be watchful, stand firm in the faith, act like men, be strong. Let all that you do be done in love. I feel like you already modeled this in many respects, and I'm excited to see you as you continue to grow in the Lord and learn more and mature, and how you will continue to model this verse and what it will look like. You have put some lofty goals for yourself in college, and I'm excited to see you attain those goals and what God will do with you and your determination and all that he has for you. We're just excited to see where you will go and how he will lead you.
I guess with that, sweetheart, we're done. That was our 4th kid. So Cody's basically all done. And we do need to give a shout out to Pastor Jason and Jill. They've been wonderful for, I'm not sure what, 18, 20 years. Started with Jenny and Zach and Dakota and Cody. So they've been perfect for us, and we've appreciated them very much. And they've put on a first class for here at Ankeny Baptist, and I know everybody can be proud of the youth program and the spiritual emphasis that they give, along with the sponsors that we've had, many sponsors, too many to name. I probably should give a shout out to Nancy. I know she's been along the whole time too. With that, It's been wonderful. We got to the point that Jason would announce a parent meeting, and then I'd show up and he said, "Kevin, this is parents, not grandparents meeting." But yeah, anyways, you know, the Lord has been good, and like I said, Pastor Jason's been great. I mean, even to the point where Cody bought his truck. So that's got to be a lot of confidence right there. What is kind of neat though is Eric's and Jen's daughter, Carly, has now entered youth group. So for about 3 months here, Eric's daughter is in the same youth group as his cousin. Sorry, have to get through this. Or with me, it's my son is with my nephew's daughter, right? Or an oldie but a goodie is Lanny says his granddaughter is in the same youth group as his nephew. Yeah, that's, you know, saying old, but I'm not going to say what Lanny's pushing. But it is wonderful. I do have one piece of advice, and this may get edited, but I was saying with the missions trip coming up, I did give and asked a question to Jason. I said, raise my hand, and he knows usually it's either going to be a goofy one or a serious one. And I said, do we have to budget for bear spray? So I seen Stephanie was laughing, the Youngs and the Carsonson were smiling, and Pastor Jason was falling off his chair. But I looked around, and the younger parents are like, is he serious? So I knew that right then and there, maybe it's my time to leave. But we're looking forward to the missions, and my advice, if there is a bear, is run! And then in that verse in Matthew 20, I believe it is, where it says the last shall be first, that's all you have to do is be ahead of your counselor or sponsor. Oh, that'd be Dakota. We got to scratch that. Just be ahead of Pastor Jason. I mean, he's pushing 40. He'll go 20 yards and then go down. But anyways, have fun at missions. So with that though, I want to pass a baton off to Eric and Jen. I wanted a big Lincoln log or something, but all I could find was bubbles. I figured Eric has how many kids? 6 kids. One of them will want it. And we can hand it over to Eric. And I know Eric isn't as opinionated as me, but he's going to have a lot of fun. And your goal is to retire in the parent, as a parent, you and Jen, with more than 6 grandchildren. So with that, I think we're done. Let's go buy an RV.